Will I get ridiculed? Probably. But I felt sharing it was more important than worrying about what others think, especially those who haven't experienced anything. Perhaps that is why some of the other writers came forward. My role in this book. I'm not an investigator of the paranormal and supernatural. I consider myself an interested party, a reporter. I have had experiences as I relate in these stories, but I wasn't investigating such things when they happened. I was simply going through the motions of my job when caught flat-footed. Such was the case with the other cops, deputies, MPs, security officers, and corrections officers who tell their stories within. My minor investigative experience. I did have a brief investigative foray into things that go bump in the night, but not as a cop. A few years ago, my agent talked to me about writing a book on the long-running TV program Ghost Hunters. The deal eventually went away, but not before my wife and I read a ton of books, watched DVDs, videos, attended a meeting with ghost hunters, and made a few excursions, armed with digital cameras and an audio recording device, into cemeteries, mausoleums, and old houses. When reporters asked notorious bank robber Willie Sutton why he continued robbing banks after the police had caught him so many times, he answered with a shrug, because that's where the money is. So we thought we would begin our investigation in the most logical places, cemeteries and mausoleums, because, well, that's where the dead people are. The argument against this idea is that spirits don't hang out around their burial site. They seek out their loved ones or remain in places they enjoyed. My wife and I knew this theory, but we wanted to start out slowly and get some experience at using our limited equipment. We began in a mausoleum so massive it had its own weather pattern. Maybe not, but it seemed like it anyway. It was a sprawling complex built on the side of a large hill, with 3 stories above ground and 3 or 4 below. There were thousands of deceased inside, most of them resting in marble-covered drawers and the others in glass-encased urns. The place was dead quiet, to use an obvious descriptor, except for a mysterious sound of water trickling from somewhere, and the occasional echoing of footsteps of visitors, living and perhaps otherwise. We spent an afternoon walking about, snapping pics in hopes of capturing orbs, and sitting for long periods with a listening device, while asking the room questions like, "Is there anyone here that would like to talk with us?" We didn't capture an image of an orb, nor did we get an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, explained in the terminology section. We even enhanced our recordings on a laptop. The mausoleum had an incredibly thick atmosphere, with a profound silence that reminded us how loud was our respective tinnitus. There was something immediately compelling about the place, as well as off-putting. Before we knew it, we had spent 3 hours inside, though we had only explored a fraction of the place. So we went back the next week. This time we stayed for about 90 minutes. We didn't have a set time for the visit, and we might have stayed longer. But we both suddenly began feeling awful. My wife became profoundly fatigued, so much so she just wanted to sleep on one of the marble benches. I abruptly grew angry, exceptionally so. All the way home, I thought about pulling motorists out of cars and beating them into a paste. Our intense feelings came on simultaneously and for no apparent reason. The trip from the mausoleum to our house took about 40 minutes. After pulling into the driveway, we remained in the car, both of us too drained to get out. Also, we wondered if it was a good idea to go into the house, carrying with us whatever we had brought home. So we sat in the driveway. We had a function to go to that night, but we gave serious thought to canceling, though the tickets were expensive. Happily, we slowly began to recover from whatever had hitched onto us. My wife's energy returned, and so did my usual happy-go-lucky self, though we still felt a tad out of sorts.